Hello, everybody. Welcome to Dework PBL Workgroup, where today I'm going to share you how the content creation output will look like and demonstrate the workspace itself, Markdown file, and a bit of an idea how Workgroup could be co-working with each other and how all of this is incentivized. And when I go in, the first main thing is I'm going to share about Workspace, and then go in more detail of Markdown files. So at the high level, I created my desktop screen picture. So I have two monitors, and the way I usually run it is we have this navigation structure. How do we organize the material we put on website? The Markdown file content, which is the primary source of information. On the right monitor, you will see like a website demo. How this Markdown information looks like on the website itself, and then where do I put this content, like existing content? Because most of the work we may actually don't need to make up, but we either have already experiences how to do that, or there are resources how we do that. Because in the SingularityNet community, we have done previously some of the onboarding content and guides, but it's all over the place. So it's this work group call is to kind of put it in one place in a sequence that people would like to prefer to learn about any of the topics. And current topic, yes, it will be Dework PBL, and it may take us like a month or two to get over all the content, but it is a start and gives everybody the impression of how to repeat that process in any other onboarding model you want to have. I also have the website open. So right now, as previously mentioned or in previous sessions, if you looked at the video, and if you haven't, you're always free to check the last session where I shared about the initial plan and why we are doing it. So it will be for the next 2 or 3 weeks. It still will be on the local host. So just learning how to use and structure this thing before we go into GitHub mode and figure out how we can all manage the space. The goal of any project-based learning course is to support people to become contributors to the real projects. And it just right now we're in this meta stage where we talk about Dework stuff and a little bit about how to use this on the Mio platform itself. Each module has learning targets, and when we go back to the board, I also added the learning targets here, what we are doing. So I can organize the workspace, I can record contributions and record contributions to quickly and recognize patterns. So things that you actually get out of the model. And yeah, then we finally come to the meat of it, which is the course outline itself. Right now, it only has onboarding and contributing. The navigation basically is like you open it up. Oh, I want to learn more about this. And then you will see what can you learn. And this kind of step before going to the lessons give this opportunity for people to skip when I know why I'm using Dework. I know what I try to capture with Dework. I need to get into specific thing, or I don't remember how this kind of contribution was made, or this kind of fund request, or any other specific thing for SingularityNet. So if I jump in, at the first, I have like an overview of what is even like a project management and like the even higher level things, why the Dework even came to existence in our environment platform. And once you get in, you can kind of start seeing these learning statements, like I know why I will use Dework. There are some points that people should consider before choosing a Dework, because that may not be the platform you actually want to do or use. Then I know what I will try to capture with Dework, examples like bounties, tasks, roles, a bit of more guidance. And then the example I did for today, like if you go into detail, like I can organize the workspaces and like how do we create spaces in different settings. I pulled the information from the original, and I stripped a lot of content already out from the original Dework guides, because let's start with something that we are doing here in Singularity. We don't have to do it for entire world, but only that helps us to onboard and the features we use. For example, we don't use project features, so I didn't go too much detail how to do these state managements and project management in timelines, but simply talking about spaces feature and some tips of how to bring like backlog up, and that most teams are using a bit of more information about integrations. So that's the workspace side and how it looks like. And now it comes down to the actual stuff to do. So on the right side, you see there was a list of things that we somewhat distributed, also at least try to distribute asynchronously. But we have an opportunity to go through this call again. If there is something missing that should be here, or you feel like something should be split into more into different learning modules or like lessons, then obviously everything can be done and then it should be done. So it's like an iterative process. This is not a final result what it will look like, but more as a starting point. In the first 2 weeks, I would like to focus on background knowledge. So how do you even in general use the Dework? And once we get like the understanding how to create the Markdown files and how it will look on website and get these starting points started, then we move on to specializing things that is just special to Singularity community. And finally, is contributing to how do we improve the PBL module itself, although what we are doing is basically the contributing. So it's we kind of parallel building a way to contribute to all of the modules at the same time as we build the models. All of the tasks are like the Markdown files you're working on. I can help you, but I also created the example in Dework. So if you're able to self-manage yourself, simply create a lesson how and the question you are answering of like the module you are creating, and simply collect your time you are spending on the module. And yeah, Markdown itself. Right now, example on the left side is like I just copy pasted it, the exact result that shows this kind of page. If I zoom out, then you can maybe see better. And so it isn't that hard to kind of learn, but it takes a little bit practice. I'm not well versed all kinds of tools that could be used for Markdowns, because you're not be able to run that easily the local host yourself, but it's possible, and it those who want, I can help to do that. But yeah, for example, this stack edit link, you can like write on the left side, and then on the right side it will look like show how this Markdown file will look like. Yeah, so that's mostly about Markdown files, and there is also this guide, this Markdown GitHub, that gives a quick insight into all of these different heading options, how to do bullet points, all this bolding, all the general changes like to make these bolds or these code buckets of visualizations on the Markdown itself. And final part to this presentation would be the workgroup itself, where one thing to note, hours are not fixed. You're allowed to spend less or more time as you see fit, but they are more as like a guiding timeline that if you go too much over, it would be nice to notify team that, hey, this really takes much more work, and then we can kind of know how our spendings. And if it takes less time, there is no reason to push for just some extra detail that may not be even required. So you're not, if you don't want, you don't have to basically research endlessly to figure out what would be the best way forward. Mainly, it's just to get the baseline running for us, get the draft out, let's review it, and then if we need, we edit it, and then we audit it, and then we finalize it. So better, let's rather spread our contributions over time rather than try to do it all at once. In general, the way I saw these roles that coming up through the times when we started preparing this work group, one thing that is a content upload. So in order to kind of have this on the local website or in original website, you will need like GitHub skills and local development environment skills. And if you would like to also start to do Markdown files using Visual Studio Code or any other coding environment you use, and directly see the results on website, then yeah, let me know asynchronously. Let's set this up and make additional work group calls to do that. On Timo, all of yeah.
Sorry, on that, I'm not familiar with Andamio. Does Andamio allow you to link to a repository so you can send pull requests?
Yes.
Okay, I can help. We'll talk asynchronously about it then, yeah, if you like. Yeah.
And all of these like coordinations and basically training to get the person to take up a role, they will be then currently they're not incentivized. But if this is something, a common thing that we need to do, we can think of rewarding the trainer. And yeah, if it's really a must or a bottleneck, then we can come and think if we need to kind of do work groups to kind of train ourselves to use the Andamio platform. Other than that, the main purpose for this work group is to create content. And so roughly each PBL lesson will be allocated $100. And ideally, one person will take it from start to finish. Then we have two roles like reviewers and meeting participants that do not get rewarded for joining this call other than the gimbal time allotment. Then that's basically when you're a participant, you have an opportunity to apply for a role that you start to get content. So it's more like a coordination group and not as a work group to deliver in that sense. And reviewers are here to just give feedback and help to improve the onboarding platforms, because in the end, we are not doing it for ourselves, but for all the environment we are around ourselves, all the ambassadors and all the members who join here. And then finally, two rows are like audit role, and that will require experience using Dework. So going through like the content that is created and basically checking if the hours are well done, if the tasks are reported, are the like main audit work, and that is allocated also around 2 hours per PBL model. And then finally facilitating Dework and PBL workshops. So even though I just mentioned that participants don't get rewarded, I actually do get rewarded for preparing this and making a summary to kind of connect it with the rest of the work groups and that we are doing here to at least have some standard of getting it out. And if you are interested in facilitating the workshops, you can also being asynchronously, and we can share what is needed for that, and then you can take up the role to also prepare, summarize, and facilitate these sessions. Yeah, I'm taking a slightly longer than I expected, but there is one more thing I want to share is about this roadmap. So also, again, this is not set in stone, but it's like a rough outline per PBL lesson, what I'm expecting all of these lessons to take. Like around 1 or 2 hours you spend on creating the placeholder. So this Markdown file took me around 1 hour to create. And that's a good starting draft to look at. And then this is the review call we are right now. We are going to quickly check through this content, see if it's all right, see if we need more modules, see if we need to distribute them, get the feedback, then go back to this asynchronous work through this bi-weekly, and 2 weeks to do another 2-hour update on the content. We come back again here to see if there is any last changes we need to do. And over the next 2 weeks, there will be an audit process to get these tasks across, get them rewarded, and then the finalizing is basically to agree on the final state of the current state this PBL lesson will have. And when it's finalized, I allocated some time to upload and organize that. So it means by organizing that, even how it will look like, for example, when I zoom in, you can see that these are different lessons here. And when we go to the modules, when we want, instead of having these learning targets in what is module about, and I want to take up, I can organize the workspaces into a different module saying basic knowledge or something, which I should have done before, but just realized now, then that's also is counted for organizing. So it requires a little bit of this coding, understanding the structure. Yeah, so that's the basic outline, a plan for Workgroup, a bit of Workspace, and the Markdown files. I'll now stop the recording. Those who are watching it online and were interested to ask questions or move and get further insight, and you can join the process with the channel in SingularityNet, where the main discussion will be held, and the next meeting will be in 2 weeks. And shortly after you see this video published, you may also see Workgroup session overview published, so that can give a bit extra updates of what we discussed today. Thanks for watching. See you out there.